Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. This is GED Math with Mr. Leo, the channel for people studying for their GED who perhaps hate math, students who are afraid of math, students who maybe have never understood math in their life before. If you're an adult education student struggling with math, trying to get your GED diploma, you're in the right place. Today's lesson is part 2 of our negative numbers unit. This is a unit that must be done in order. If you have not already done the first lesson, please stop this video and go watch that video first. Okay, are you ready to begin? Do you have your supplies? For this lesson, everyone is going to need a notebook and a pen or pencil. If I'm writing, I need you to be writing. Practice makes perfect, and we need to build some good habits and some skills and methods right now. So please make sure you have your notebook and you're ready to write. So as we discussed in part 1 of this series, negative numbers are very tricky and are one of the most important things that you must have under control if you want to pass the GED math test. What makes negative numbers so hard is that there are two different sets of rules. There is one set of rules for multiplying and dividing. There's another set of rules for add and subtract. We have to study these things separately, one at a time. I prefer to start with multiply and divide. That was part 1 of this unit. Make sure you have completed that. Today we're going to look at part 2, which is the rules for adding and subtracting. Okay, we're going to begin by reviewing what we learned last time. First off, we have this vocabulary word, integer. Please remember, this is a whole number that is positive or negative. An integer is often a clue that we're going to be talking about negative numbers. Although its true definition, it could just be a regular positive number. That would be an integer. Last time we studied the rules for multiplying and dividing negative numbers. These are the same set of rules if you multiply or divide. Here they are on the screen. A positive times a positive is a positive. We thought of this as if you love to love, you're a lover. Then we have a positive times a negative is a negative. We thought of this as if you love to hate, you're a hater. Then we have negative times positive is a negative. That's if you hate to love, you're also a hater. And then the last one is the double negative. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. A negative times a negative is a positive. Remember, this works for also division. Okay, let's practice. Okay, now please pause this video, grab your notebook, and work these problems out. We'll come back together in a moment and share the answers. You ready? Pause the video. Okay, answers coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First one is -9. We're going to move down the page. Next is -45. These both have one negative sign, so we put it in the answer. This is a double negative. It's going to be +27. Next one is -6. Next one is -1. 8 divided by 8 is 1. The negative sign carries into the answer. Now we have a double negative. That's going to make +9. Up top on the right, we have -2 is the answer. Now we have -10, -9, -7, -3, and -6. Did you get those right? Do you understand what we did? Now, if you're having problems with these, you might not be ready for today's lesson, and you should go back and watch part 1 of this series to really get this under control. If we try to move ahead now, it's going to be very confusing. Make sure you have these rules down for multiply and dividing negatives. Okay, now we're ready for today's lesson, negatives part 2, adding and subtracting negative numbers. These are the more complicated rules. These are the ones that people really get caught up on. And there's something funny here, which is that as we do this, even the words adding and subtracting start to lose their meaning a little bit. Because what does it mean to add a negative? Well, if they add a negative charge to your bank account, that means they're subtracting money. And certain things happen once we have double negatives. So what we're really going to think about here is that we're combining numbers. We're combining positive and negative numbers. And don't worry, I got a very simple set of rules for you to follow. Let's take a look. Here are all the rules for combining negative numbers, which is adding and subtracting. I'm going to break this down for you right now. Here we go. If there is more than one sign on a number, simplify it to only one sign. This follows the multiply and divide rules. Let me show you what I mean. If I have this, for example, 5 minus negative 6. Now, this looks kind of strange. What does this even mean? Here's how I want you to think about it. Look at the number 5. How many signs are in front of it? Do you see any plus or minus signs? No, it's just a plain old 5, and we know that means by default it's positive. Now look at the 6 here. There's a parentheses around it. That's to stay organized. It has a negative sign here, and then there's a subtraction sign out here. Here's how I want you to think about that. In front of that number 6, there are 2 negative signs. I'm counting the sign directly in front of it and the subtraction sign over here. For our purposes today, subtraction signs, minus signs, negative signs, they're all the same thing. So this 6 has 2 signs on it. The parentheses we don't worry about, that's just to stay organized. They could be there, they could not be there. The 6 has 2 signs. Now that's a problem. We need to change that. Step 1 says, if there is more than one sign on a number, simplify to only one sign. This follows the multiply divide rules. This follows the rules we've already studied. So look at that 6. What is that? That has 2 negatives. That's a double negative. That's if you hate to hate, you're a lover. So in fact, we're going to change that 6 to just have a plus sign. The 2 minus signs will combine and make a plus. This I'm going to rewrite as 5 plus 6. You see that? The 2 negative signs have canceled each other out, and I'm left with just a plus sign. Final answer here is 11. You see what I'm getting at? Let's do one more example. How about this? What if I have 10 minus negative 4? All right, can you see it? This time I'm going to make my changes below. So the 10 has no signs on it. That means it's positive by default, and that's good to go. I'm going to bring that down and just write it as 10. Now this 4, I see this as having 2 signs, 2 negatives. Those 2 negatives cancel out. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. This I'm going to rewrite as a plus sign and bring the 4 down. I've removed the parentheses. They weren't doing anything in the first place. Here we go. We can add this up. Our final answer is 14. All right. Now what about this? What if I have 8 plus negative 3? Now what's going on here? Now maybe you could get the answer, but I want to make sure we're very clear on how this works. We're going to follow that step. Step 1, if there's more than one sign on a number, simplify to only one sign. The 8 has no signs. That's positive by default. We're going to rewrite that as just an 8. Bring it on down. And now this 3 has a plus and a minus. What do we do with that? That's if you love to hate, you're a hater. A positive and a negative make a negative. This follows the rules that we studied last time. This becomes 8 minus 3. Final answer here is 5. Do you see what's going on here? Let's do one more set of examples. 4 plus negative 2. And then over here, let's have 4 minus negative 2. Now you'll notice here, I didn't use any parentheses, and that's fine. I want you to think of this the same way. This 4 has no signs on it. We're going to call that positive. Just bring it on down. And now how many signs are on the 2? When I say on the 2, I mean in front of the 2. In front of this 2, I see a plus and a minus. Together, those will simplify to one sign. They will simplify to simply a minus sign. This is if you love to hate, you're a hater. Positive times a negative is negative. This is the rules we learned in part 1. Now look at this one, 4 minus minus 2, or 4 subtract negative 2. You see how I'm using these words interchangeably? Okay, again, the 4 has no signs in front of it, so we'll bring it down. That's a regular positive 4. This 2 has 2 negative signs, two minus signs. Those two signs will cancel out to make a plus sign. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. This is 4 plus 2. This one is going to equal 6. The one on the left here is going to equal 2. You see the difference? You see the difference? Those are different answers for different questions. Okay, how are you feeling with all this? Is it making a little bit of sense? At this point, I'd like to ask you to please, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, send this video to someone who you think might get something from this lesson. It's word-of-mouth recommendations like that that help keep our channel growing. Any questions? Please put any questions you have in the comments below, and I'll respond to all of you. Okay. That was step one. Step one is all about simplification. We need to first simplify our problems. Sometimes there's nothing to simplify. For example, look at this right here. -4 minus 5. Now, you might say, wait, are those negative signs or subtraction signs or minus signs? For our purposes today, you can think of them all as the same thing. Those are all negative signs. They're also minus signs. They mean the same thing. So, first off, step one, is there anything to simplify here? Well, look at the 4. How many signs are on the 4? It has one sign in front of it. That's what we want. That's good to go. Now look at the 5. How many signs are on the 5? I say the 5 has one sign on it, this minus sign right here. Now you might say, oh wait, Leo, isn't that a subtraction sign and the 5 is actually positive? I know what you mean. That's where things get a little weird. I want you just to look at it how I'm looking at it. That 5 has a minus sign in front of it. That is one negative sign. That's what we want. That's all I need you to do. Now look at step 2. If both numbers have the same sign, add the numbers and use the sign. Do they have the same sign? Yes, they do. They both have a minus sign. Therefore, we are going to add the numbers. 4 plus 5 is 9, and use the sign. This is the final answer. -4 take away 5 is -9. If you're combining -4 with -5, you get -9. This is as if you spent $4 and you spent $5, so altogether you spent $9. Let's do another example. How about this one? 6 plus 3. Wait, what's going on, Leo? There's no minus signs here. I know, I'm just making a point. Does the 6 have any signs on it? No, but you could think of it as having an invisible plus sign because it's positive. So look at these numbers. They have the same sign. They're both positive. Put a positive with another positive. Let's follow the rules. If both numbers have the same sign, add the numbers and use the sign. So you're going to add these up and use the sign. This final answer would be 9. You're often not going to see the plus sign written there, but it's always there. It's invisible. Numbers are positive by default. Sometimes when you're doing work specifically on negatives, you're going to see a lot of plus signs hanging out, just to be clear. So this is one example of that. But I could have just as easily wrote this as 9. And remember, this is just regular math. Let's do another one. -2 minus 3. Take a look here. Do we have to simplify anything? Does each number already have one sign? Yes, they both have one sign. So let's go here to step 2. If both numbers have the same sign, add the numbers and use the sign. 2 plus 3 is 5, and we're going to use the sign. Final answer, -5. You like this? Is it making sense? Okay, let's do an example that's going to bring in step 3. How about -5 plus 2? So what's going on here? First off, step 1. Do we have to simplify here? Is there more than one sign on a number? No. Each number has one sign, so they're good to go. Step 2. If both numbers have the same sign, do these have the same sign? No, they have different signs. So we have to go to step 3. Step 3 reads, if both numbers have different signs, subtract to find the difference, and then use the sign of the larger number. Okay, so 5 has a minus, 2 has a plus. These have different signs, so we're going to subtract to find the difference. Just consider the numbers regular, 5 and 2. Put the bigger one first. What is 5 minus 2? That's 3. The difference between 5 and 2 is 3. And now, very important, use the sign of the larger number. 5 is bigger than 2. 5 has the minus sign. Put the minus sign on the answer. This answer is -3. This means you spent $5, but you earned $2. So really, you only had to spend $3 altogether. This is more negative than positive. This is down 5, but up 2. So it's still down. That's why the answer is still negative, but it's only -3. Let's do another one. -10 plus 4. Okay. I see only one sign on each number, so we do not have to simplify. And each number has different signs. That's step 3. If both numbers have different signs, subtract to find the difference and use the sign of the larger number. Okay, so we're going to subtract. What is 10 minus 4? 10 minus 4 is 6. We're going to keep the sign of the larger number. That's on the 10. The 10 is bigger, so we use it. That is going to be -6, final answer. Good job. Okay, please take a moment now. Write down these rules in your notebook. Let's do another one. -5 minus -3. Okay, what do we do? Step 1. If there's more than one sign on a number, simplify to only one sign. 5 has one sign on it. That's what we want. Just bring it down. We're good to go. You're putting this in your notebook, right? Now look at the 3. From my perspective, this 3 has 2 minus signs on it. Those 2 minus signs are going to cancel out. They're going to become a plus sign. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. So we rewrite it like this. Look closely. -5 plus 3. The -5 has kept the sign, but the double negative on the 3 became a plus. Now what? Is this step 2 or step 3? This is step 3. Look closely. Both numbers now have different signs. That's step 3. If both numbers have different signs, subtract to find the difference and use the sign of the larger number. What's the difference between 5 and 3? 5 minus 3 is 2. Let's use the sign of the larger number. Final answer, -2. Let's do another one. -2 plus -8. Okay, what do we do here? Step 1, simplify. -2 has one sign on it. That's going to be -2. Just bring it down. And this 8 has 2 signs. We need to simplify. We need to change that. A plus and a minus makes a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. We rewrite this as -2 minus 8. And now look, are these the same sign or different signs? Right, these are the same sign. That's step 2. If both numbers have the same sign, add the numbers and use the sign. We're going to add 8 plus 2, that's 10, and go ahead and use the sign. Final answer, -10. Okay, now these rules are still a little bit complicated. I told you negatives are one of the hardest things we have to study. But I promise you, with these 3 steps, combined with what we learned last lesson, you have everything you need to know to get every negative question right from here all the way to your test day. Now here on this screen, we have altogether all the rules. This one page of rules tells you everything you need to solve negative number problems. Take a moment, write all of this down in your notebook. Go ahead, pause the video and write all of this down. Keep this as a reference. Okay, now just because it fits on one page doesn't mean you're going to learn it like that. We still need to practice and put the work in. This requires repetition. The more you do it, the more natural it will become. And that's the goal. When I'm through with you, you will be able to solve these types of problems naturally. And that's important because where we're going with algebra and functions and graphing, you're going to be throwing a lot of negative numbers, and you can't let those take your attention because your attention must be on the bigger picture and the larger problem and the twist and the trick. So we have to get really comfortable with this, and that will require practice. Let's practice now. All right, let's practice right here. Let's do this page here. The first one, number 1, that's regular math. 1 plus 15, that's 16. Technically, this follows step 2, though. If both signs are the same, we add the numbers and keep the sign. These are both positive numbers, so the system works. Number 2, up here top right. Now, here's a nice mess for us. Let's do step 1, which is to simplify. I want one sign on each number. This -6, we're going to keep that one sign, -6. Now, this 17 here has 2 negative signs on it. We're going to use that to cancel out, make a positive, +17. This is 2 negatives making a positive. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. We're not done, but we've done that very important simplification step. Now, these signs are different, so we're going to subtract to find the difference. 17 take away 6. Let's start with the larger number. 17 take away 6 is 11, and we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. The 17 is bigger, it has the plus, so we're going to keep the answer positive. I'm going to put an invisible plus sign there. You know that every number by default is positive. Okay, over here, number 3. 19 has no signs on it, so we're just going to bring it down. That's positive. This 2, however, has a double negative. We're going to change that to a plus. This becomes 19 plus 2. Final answer is 21. How you feel? Is it looking okay? This next one here, we could do it as is, but I'll rewrite it anyways, just removing the parenthesis. First number has a minus sign. We just bring that down. Second number has a plus sign. We bring that down. Now you'll notice here that the signs are different, so we have to subtract to find the difference. The difference between these numbers is 7. Keep the sign of the larger number. That makes it a positive 7. Final answer. Okay, this next one needs some simplification. -4 has one sign on it. We'll keep that as a -4 or a -4. This 18 has 2 signs right here. 2 signs, a plus and a minus. Plus and a minus just makes a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. So we simplify it like this. Take a look here. Do you understand the difference here? This is not random. I'm not just throwing this stuff around. We have a system. If you love to hate, you're a hater. A positive and a negative makes a negative. Now look at our result here. We have 2 negative signs. Both numbers have the same sign, so we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. 4 plus 18 is 22. And we're going to keep that sign. Final answer, -22. Moving on over here, number 6, 5 minus 14. There's nothing to simplify here. Now, do these numbers have the same sign or different signs? Well, remember, the 5 has an invisible plus in front of it. It's positive. So we have a positive and a negative. Those are different signs. So we're going to subtract to find the difference. 14 take away 5 leaves you with 9 left over. We're going to keep the sign of the larger number. That's -9. Okay, down here we have 2 numbers. They each have one sign. They each have a negative sign. When the signs are the same, we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. 12 plus 7 is 19, and we're going to keep that sign. So final answer, -19. Over here we have 10 plus -16. The 10 has no signs in front of it. That's going to be by default a 10. I'll bring it down. And here I have 2 signs. We need to simplify these 2, the plus and the minus. Do you remember this? A positive and a negative is a negative. If you love to hate, you're a hater. This becomes 10 minus 16. Now right here, 10 minus 16, we can think of this as the signs being different. We have a positive 10 and a -16. We subtract to find the difference. That's 6, and keep the sign of the larger number. Final answer, -6. This is kind of tricky. We just need to keep practicing until it really sticks. Let's move on. Okay, here's some more right here. This first one, do we need to simplify it? The 3 has no signs on it. We can just bring that down. The 20 has 2 signs, the plus and the minus. Remember, we're going to simplify that to just a negative. If you love to hate, you're a hater. This becomes 3 minus 20. Now, the signs are different. Remember, the 3 is by default positive. So we subtract to find the difference. The difference here is 17. 20 minus 3 is 17. That's the difference between the numbers. And we keep the sign of the larger number. How you feeling? Any questions? Put them in the comments and I'll respond to each of you. Over here, number 10. These both have a negative sign. We consider this, they have the same signs. When the signs are the same, we're going to add the numbers and use the sign. 8 plus 12 is 20, and we're going to use the sign. Final answer, negative 20. This means you spent 8 and you spent 12. Altogether, you spent $20. Okay, down here, I see a whole lot of minus signs. Let's simplify. The 15 has one sign, so we're going to keep that sign and bring it down. The 10 has two minus signs. See that? What do we do with two negatives? What's a double negative? In this case, a double negative makes a positive. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. So we get this, negative 15 plus 10. Now take a look here. Are the signs the same or different? Well, they're different. We've got a negative and a positive. When the signs are different, we're going to subtract to find the difference. 15 take away 10 is 5. And of course, we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. Final answer, negative 5. Okay, how about this one right here? I see a negative and a positive. Negative 19 plus 18. There's nothing here to simplify, although you could remove the parentheses. It doesn't matter. That's optional. And now, since the signs are different, we're going to subtract to find the difference. 19 minus 18 is 1. Keep the sign of the larger number. Negative 1, final answer. Okay, how about this one? 17 plus 13. What do you think about that? They're both positive. That's regular math. We're going to add the numbers and keep the sign, which is positive. This is final answer, 30. If you're having trouble doing these additions and subtractions quickly, that's okay. You can use a calculator right now if you really need to. You might want to take some more notes in your notebook. I'm doing mental math. The main thing today is that we focus on the negative rules. Okay, how about this one, number 14? I see 11 minus negative 9. What do we do? We're going to bring down the 11, and these two negatives become a positive. The double negative here becomes a positive. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. And we get 11 plus 9. 11 plus 9, that's regular math. Final answer is 20. All right, this one down here, 16 minus 0. That's pretty much regular math. If you take away 0 from 16, you're left with 16. And this one, this looks kind of weird. Negative 7 plus negative 14. Okay, negative 7 has one sign. Let's bring that down. Now in front of the 14, I see two signs, a plus and a minus. Remember, if you love to hate, you're a hater. So we're going to change that to just a negative sign. Now I have minus 7, minus 14. You'll notice here the signs are the same, so we're going to add the numbers and use the sign. 7 plus 14 is 21, and we're going to keep that sign, negative 21. This is as if you spent 7 and you spent 14. So altogether, you spent 21. Okay. Practice makes perfect. Let's keep going. Are you writing these down in your notebook? Okay. Now here we have some problems with 3 integers altogether. We're going to use the same rules. We're just going to go step by step from left to right. So we're going to start right here. Start right here, negative 10 plus 9. Just focus on the first piece. Is there anything here to simplify? They each have one sign. Now, are the signs the same or different? They're different, so we're going to subtract to find the difference. 10 minus 9 is 1, and we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. That's negative 1. Now I'm going to bring down the rest. Plus negative 2. Now what now? Maybe you see the answer already, but we're going to do this the long way, because that's what we do here. Okay, negative 1 has one sign, but this 2 has two signs. We need to simplify that. Negative 1, I'm going to bring it down as is, but the 2 right here has a plus and a minus. What do we do with that? Right, we simplify to just the negative sign. If you love to hate, you're a hater. So here is our new simplification, -1 minus 2. You'll notice they each have a minus sign, so we say the signs are the same. When the signs are the same, we're going to add the numbers and use the sign. Final answer here is 3 with a negative. 1 plus 2 is 3, and keep the signs. Final answer, -3. Good. Okay, how about this one down here? Maybe in this case, let's do the simplification first. -9 has one sign, so we're just going to keep it as is. How about this? It says plus -11. That's a plus and a minus. We're going to simplify that to just a minus sign, and we get this. Let's simplify over here also. Again, I have two signs in a row. We need to simplify that. Plus and a minus makes a minus. So we simplify this, and we have -9, -11, -17. Now we're going to go left to right. Looking at the first two, -9 minus 11, the signs are the same, so let's add the numbers and use the sign. 9 plus 11 is 20. And use the sign. Now I'm going to bring down the -17. Okay, I'm doing these in my head, but you might need to write these out the long way. Now, -20 minus 17, they both have the same sign. So again, we're going to add the numbers and use the sign. 20 plus 17 is 37. And we're going to use the sign. Final answer here, -37. That one was pretty tricky. It's okay if you're not feeling great with this. It's going to take some time. Just follow along and do your best. Make sure you're writing everything down in your notebook. Let's do some more practice right here. If you're feeling confident, go ahead and pause this video and work these out in your notebook. All right, I'm going to break these down now for us. Please notice that sometimes parentheses are used, sometimes not. Either way, follow the rules. Okay, this first one here has no parentheses, but we know what to do. Step 1, let's simplify so that each number has only one sign. -3, that's one sign, the minus sign. We're going to go ahead and keep that. This 8, however, has a plus and a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. So we're going to rewrite this as -3 minus 8. Good. What's next? Well, the signs are the same, so we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. 3 plus 8 is 11, and we're going to keep the sign. Final answer, -11. Good. Let's go over here to the right. -11 minus -6. We've got some parentheses here to keep organized. Step 1, simplify. -11 has one sign, so we're going to go ahead and keep it the same. This 6, however, has two negative signs. Those two signs are going to cancel out. Minus and a minus makes a positive. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. So we get -11 plus 6. Now consider what we have here. We have a negative and a positive. The signs are different. When the signs are different, we're going to subtract to find the difference. 11 minus 6 is 5. And we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. 11 is larger, so we keep that negative sign. Final answer here is -5. All right, down here we have a triple. I have 3 integers. Let's start by simplifying the whole thing. This 8 has no signs in front of it, so we're just going to write down the 8. This 4 has 2 signs, a plus and a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. That simplifies to just a minus sign. Next one has a plus and a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. That simplifies also to a minus sign. We're left with this, simplification. 8 minus 4 minus 3. Let's go left to right. 8 minus 4 is 4. That's regular math. Bring down the -3. Let's finish it here. 4 minus 3. That's regular math. Final answer is 1. All right. One more on this page. This looks kind of weird. Let's go step by step and simplify. This is a -10. That's one sign. I'm going to rewrite it and just drop the parentheses. This next one, this 10, has 2 negative signs on it. Those 2 negative signs are going to cancel out and make a plus sign. This becomes +10. This last piece here is plus and minus 1. That plus minus is going to become just a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. So this is our simplification. Now let's go left to right. Negative 10 plus 10. Now, these two numbers, if we look at them, have different signs. When the signs are different, we need to subtract to find the difference. 10 minus 10 is 0. We're supposed to keep the sign of the larger number, but neither one is larger. So what do? Well, if you remember from last lesson, negatives part 1, 0 is neutral. 0 is neither negative or positive, so this works out just fine. 0 is not supposed to have any signs on it, so that's perfect. Now we're not done. We need to bring down the minus 1. Now we have 0 minus 1. This is a bit odd. What do we do here? Well, 0 subtracting 1 is going to be 1 less than 0. 0 in this case is not doing anything to the number. We're left with simply a negative 1 by itself. You could say the signs are different, so we subtract to find the difference, keep the sign of the larger number. The point is it's going to work out as negative 1. 0 is a special number, so certain things happen when you use 0. I hope this was clear. Please give me any questions or confusion right in the comments and I'll respond to all of you. Okay, here's some challenge problems right here. If you're feeling strong, pause the video and work these out on your own. In the meantime, let's go through these together. All right, what's the first thing we should do? Let's try to simplify the entire expression. Negative 6 has one sign, so we're going to keep it. Plus 8, that's one sign. We're going to keep it. Up next, we have negative 4, or subtract negative 4. Either way, I see two minus signs. Those are going to cancel out and become a plus sign. This becomes plus 4. This next one is plus minus 6. Remember, if you love to hate, you're a hater. A positive and a negative is a negative. So we simplify that just right here. Notice the first two numbers, we kept them the same. This 4, we simplified the double negative to make a plus. The 6, we simplified the plus minus to be just a minus. Now we've got them nice and simplified. We're going to go left to right, piece by piece. Start right here, negative 6 plus 8. Just these two numbers. Are the signs the same or different? They're different. When the signs are different, we subtract to find the difference. Keep the sign of the larger number. 8 minus 6 is 2. They have a difference of 2. The 8 was the larger number, so we're going to keep the sign of the 8, which is a positive. I'm not going to write the positive. It's invisible. Every number is positive by default. I'll bring down the next number, which is plus 4. And just to be thorough, let's bring down all of it. Bring down the minus 6. We're not going to deal with that yet, but let's bring it down so we have a complete line of text. All right, just looking at 2 plus 4, that's regular math. Technically, they're both positive. The signs are the same, so we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. 2 plus 4 is 6. I'm going to bring down this last number, minus 6. Oh, okay. Here we have regular math, but you can think of it as the signs are different. We've got a positive and a negative. So we're going to subtract to find the difference. Final answer here is 0. That's right. This whole mess at the top simplified to 0. Okay, we'll do this one on the right. Looks kind of odd, but we know what to do. Step by step, follow the rules. Step 1, simplify. Negative 11 has one sign, so we'll keep that the same. That's negative 11. This 3 has a double negative. Those two minus signs will cancel out. If you hate to hate, you're a lover. That's going to be plus 3. Over here, this 2 has a plus and a minus. If you love to hate, you're a hater. A positive and a negative makes a negative, so this becomes minus 2. And over here, the 10 just has a minus sign, so we're going to keep that. This is our simplification. Every number has just one sign. Now, we're going to go left to right. Focus just on the first piece, negative 11 plus 3. The signs are different, so we're going to subtract to find the difference. The difference between 11 and 3 is 8, and we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. Bring down the rest of the expression. So we have a nice complete package right here. Now, let's go the next two. Negative 8 minus 2. The signs are the same, so we're going to add the numbers and use the sign. 8 plus 2 is 10, and we're going to use the sign. Let's bring down the last part, which is another negative 10. So look here, we have minus 10, or negative 10, take away 10. Either way, the signs are the same. What do we do when the signs are the same? We add the numbers and use the sign. 10 plus 10 is 20, and we're going to use the sign. Final answer, negative 20. Wow, that's a lot right there. How do you feel about this? I hope this has been helpful to you. Please take your time with this material. This is one of the most important things that we have to get under control if we want to pass the GED. Take your time, practice, write down all your steps. Okay, great work. That has been our lesson, Negative Numbers Part 2, Adding and Subtracting. These are the hard rules, and these are going to take some practice. Don't expect to just master this right away. This is going to require a lot of practice. The more you do it, the more natural it will become. So don't get discouraged. Stay on it and keep that rule page handy when you need it. Stay tuned for part 3 of this series on negative numbers, where we will combine all the rules and start applying this into other types of questions. Before you go, I have an exit ticket for you. One more page of problems. If you can do these on your own and get them right, you're in great shape and you're ready to move on. Okay, this is your exit ticket. Please pause the video now and work out these questions in your notebook. Okay, do you have your answers? Answers coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, great work, everyone. I'll see you all for part 3 next time when we put it all together.